What's up YouTube? In today's video I'll be explaining the best warm-up routine if you want to hit champion in Rainbow Six Siege. I'm going to be going over the shooting range, so that will consist of flicking, tracking, recoil and so on. I'll be going over versus AI, so practicing clutching up in 1v5 situations. I'll be going over the endless drill, also known as T-Hunt technically, and arcade, okay? So to get started, I'm going to start off with recoil. So to do recoil, you need to go into zone 2 of the shooting range, where you're in a target range, literally right here where there's one target. It's personal preference on which one you want to do, whether that's crouching, laying down or standing, and how far you want to do it. I normally start off with 10 meters just because it's default. And basically all you want to do is keep your crosshair on the target's head and try and keep your gun straight. Obviously I've just got on and I haven't played this game in a month, because Siege is dying in my opinion, but you know. So yeah, you want to practice recoil. Another thing is you can also practice crosshair placement with this, which I like to do. For example, I like to go out of the zone and practice crosshair placement. Say if I know someone's crouching, practice your crosshair placement when you're swinging an angle. That's the same if someone is standing as well. Practicing your crosshair placement like that. Switch the guns up a bit, use the different operators. So for example, if you're about to go into ranked after you're warmed up, you want to play the different operators that you expect yourself to be using in ranked. So I'll be using Twitch, Dokkaebi and Ash. So these are the weapons that I want to practice recoil with. You can try out different ranges, it doesn't really matter. After you've warmed up recoil, this should normally take about 5 minutes to warm up your recoil. Mainly, like I'd say, go for 3 operators. Both attack and defense, it doesn't really matter. As long as you get some basic guns down. So I normally do Ash because that's a basic operator with barely any recoil. Twitch because it has a little bit more recoil, and then Dokkaebi because it has the most recoil. After this, we're going to go on to tracking. Now tracking you can either do on zone 3 or you can do it on zone 2. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to explain it on zone 2 and then we'll move on to zone 3. So tracking, you want to keep your crosshair at the target's head, or if it makes it easier, maybe do it on the shoulders. And you have to keep your crosshair constantly locked onto the target whilst you're moving left and right across the zone. It should be quite easy. Do it whilst you're crouching. Make sure you do this with ACOG and holographic or whatever scopes you plan on using. That's zone 2 covered. For zone 3, you have to go on the options for the settings of the shooting range, and you want to copy the settings that I do. Round duration, you need at 120. Target type, you can have on dummy or you can have on big ball. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to do big ball. Maximum targets, normally do 1 because you only need to be tracking 1 target. Target move speed, I normally do either run or sprint. You can try, obviously it's best to do walk, run and sprint, but for this tutorial I'm just going to do sprint. Obviously for you guys, if you want to warm up every type of tracking, then obviously do each speed. Target distance, you want to have it at random. Well, you want to change it realistically, but you've only got 1 target, so if you want to do random, make sure you up the targets to 4. But for my sake, I'm gonna do medium. Reposition time is 0 and infinite magazine ammo. You're not gonna be shooting in this, so it doesn't really matter. Now all you gotta do is keep your crosshair on the target. Obviously, depending on the speed that you've selected it will be a lot harder. Try it with different scopes as well. Make sure you're constantly using different scopes, different reticle types, etc. This will get you the most locked. This should normally take around 2 to 3 minutes of tracking. Obviously, as I said, do it at different ranges. To do it at different ranges, you want to change the settings and change the target distance. Now I'm going to be moving on to flicking. Flicking is something that you need to know, especially if you want to hit your shots when, for example, if I'm aiming right here, someone shoots me from my left at this door, you need to be able to flick directly onto the door. You want to copy the settings, so 120, big ball, 100 HP. Headshot only is preference. I normally say yes if you need to practice aiming just for head, but it can be hard if you're using a dummy and you're new to the game. Maximum targets, I like to do 4. Random for the target move speed. Target distance needs to be on random, and the rest on 0 and on. After that, use any gun that you want to, as long as you, again, try out different scopes. So I'm going to use Ash just because it's a very basic operator, basic weapon. Obviously, you can tell my aim isn't the greatest, but I haven't played in a month, so your guys' aim is going to be a lot better than mine. You want to try different moving speeds, so you can do idle. Idle is the best if you want to try and get used to flicking with someone who's stood still. So as you can see, all the targets are now still. So now it makes it a lot easier. All you have to do is flick onto them all. One thing that I recommend you do as well is do not constantly be aiming down sights. So you shouldn't be flicking onto people like this, where you're aiming down sights constantly. You have to, after every bullet you shoot, on ADS, and then, so look, shoot, on ADS, flick to the target, ADS. Obviously, it don't matter how fast you ADS after you on ADS, basically, if that makes sense. So it doesn't matter if you shoot a target on ADS and then ADS as you're swapping to it, as long as you still flick onto that target with precision, then it's fine. Before we move on to the versus AI section, you can also practice recoil on this target. I like to do it in zone 2 on this target here, just because it's a lot more easier and it feels a lot more realistic, because you'll be shooting actual dummies and like people, not targets. But it's really personal preference, especially if you want to use this, so the little person, instead of the actual target. But that's all personal preference. Next we'll be moving on to versus AI. For the sake of this, I'll only be doing one round. You can do either beginner or advanced. I like to do advanced. The map doesn't really matter. I'm not sure if you can change the map, actually. I'm genuinely not sure. I never play this. But if you can pick any map, it doesn't really matter. If I normally aim to pick maps that you're not very good with, or maps that you don't have a lot of map knowledge on, because this will increase your map knowledge. Like, you'll get better on that map by practicing. Doesn't matter what operator you pick, as long as you pick an operator, for example, that you've trained the gun with in shooting range. So you just want to play it off like a real game. Get intel. Get as much information as you can and play it off as you would. I prefer to drone just to make sure you don't get killed off spawn. Obviously it is versus AI, so you never know what is going to happen. Yeah, maybe droning is a good idea, since Capcan is literally sat in a corner. Also, just to remind everyone who's watching this video, I have not warmed up at the time I'm making this video. This is a perfect example of how my warm-up routine works. Obviously, each person will have to have their own type of routine. Each person will be able to warm up differently. But this is just a rough type of schedule that you'll need to do for those who are completely unaware on how to warm up properly.
Located a bomb.
But once you've done versus AI, you can basically stop there and you should be warmed up. But what I like to do as a bonus is I like to play arcade. Now, me personally, I am an arcade freak. I love to play arcade a lot, so I do like literally 5 to 10 games of arcade to warm up. I play arcade quite a lot. But for this instance, I'll be going into the endless drill. Endless drill, not many people like, but I believe it's good if you want to hit headshots, especially with the settings that you can enable, so headshot only. For this instance, I'm not going to do it, just so I can do a better explanation. Choose side, I'll normally do random, but it's really whatever you prefer. What you want to be doing is basically going around the map and locking onto the target's head at all times. Make sure you are clearing corners properly, so if for those who have watched my latest video, the video before this one, you should know not to take corners like this by flicking round. You should know to gradually progress around the corner. And you want to practice hitting heads on all operators. Once you've done this for the next maybe 5 minutes or so, however long you prefer, I'd say get the first 14 targets or however many you've got killed. For example, I've done 7 out of 14 targets, as it says on the top left of my screen. I'm going to aim for all 14 targets, then after this I'm going to move on to an arcade game. Once you've done the first 14 targets, you can then exit the game, and all you have to do is 1 to 2 arcade games. This is personal preference on how many arcade games you want to do. As I said, I like to do 5 to 10, but that's because I'm obsessed with arcade. And that's going to be it for the rest of this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope this helped you out for those who are trying to learn how to warm up properly and actually hit high rank by warming up. Obviously, For those who are new and trying out this warm-up routine, it may take time to get used to it. And obviously for those who are just starting to do this warm-up routine, the routine will take longer. To know if you're fully warmed up or not, basically, you should think this. If you are in a gunfight, are you confident enough to swing? Have you got enough aggression? Are you good enough to make a play? Are you good enough to clutch up for your team and so on? If you can't do that, then that means you're not warmed up and you should probably keep warming up and keep practicing. But I hope this video helped you all. I also appreciate you all for helping me hit 500 subscribers. Thank you all for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.